Hey, what's up everyone? Best and West here, and today's video is going to be pretty different than my other videos. We're not talking about Pokemon Go at all, or even Pokemon in general. Today's video is going to be about my time in Thailand and when I became a Buddhist monk. So I kind of split up today's video into who, what, where, when, why, and how. So if you guys are interested, stick around. Let's go. Okay, so getting into the topic of why I became a Buddhist monk. So if you didn't know already, I'm Thai, and Thailand is a Buddhist country. It is Thai tradition for a man once they reach the age of 20 to ordain as a monk for one rainy season. One rainy season is about 3 months, but in today's society, it's a little hard to get away from work for 3 whole months. So several people do it for much shorter periods, such as myself. Another reason why I did it is because it's building merit for your family and your parents, and for reincarnation, or just building good karma, right? My mom asked me to do this a long time ago and said that it's a very high honor if your son ordains to become a monk. So that's another reason why I did it. And lastly, I did it for myself. I always considered myself a Buddhist, but I never really understood what that meant because I had so many questions, right? I found this to be an opportunity to learn about the religion and improve myself. Maybe take some of the skills and ideas and thoughts and apply them to my daily life. So that's why I did. When midway through November into early December is when I was in Thailand. And I was in the monastery itself for 15 to 16 days. Where I was at Wat Pawaniwet Wihan, which is a temple in Bangkok, Thailand. And Wat actually means temple in Thai. So if you hear me say Wat, that means temple. But let me give you some background on this specific Wat. Wat Pawan, in short, is the regions of Tamayut Nikai. Tamayut is kind of like a subcategory of the Theravada Buddhism. So what that means is that different kinds of Buddhism take Buddhist teachings and interpret it in different ways, similar to Christianity in some ways, but Tamayut is one of those sects, or one of those subgroups. But Wat Bawan is where I stayed at when I was doing my monkship. How did I become a monk? So the first thing you need to do is get permission from the temple, or the Wat. At the temple that I did my monkship, it was split up into different camps, and to ordain at this temple you had to go to an individual camp and ask the head monk there to accept you into their training. So my mom lives in Thailand, so she did this for me. In preparation, once they accept you, and they tell you how to prepare to become a monk. So Buddhism is an ancient religion, about 2,600 years old, and all its scriptures and sutras and prayers are in an ancient language called Pali. So I had to learn the ordination scriptures and memorize them. Luckily for me, I had a teacher, or Ajahn, named Woody from Oregon that helped me memorize these scriptures. I would talk to him on the phone almost every night, and he would go over how to say it and how to remember it. So thank you very much, Ajahn Woody, for helping me with that. It was definitely needed because those scriptures are very hard to remember and to say it correctly. Once it was close to my scheduled ordination, I flew to Thailand, and for about 2-3 days I had to go to the temple and recite the ordination chants to demonstrate that I knew how to say it and that I wouldn't mess it up on the day of the ordination ceremony itself. It also served, so this whole process of remembering the ordination process, the ordination sutras, was kind of like a test to show that you were serious about ordaining to become a monk. And I think it was a good, I think it's a very good starting point to show that you're serious. So that was how I prepared to become a monk. So the last part of this how section is the ordination ceremony itself. So the ordination ceremony itself, or the day of the ordination, is a pretty festive event. It's almost a whole day thing, so it was pretty tiring by the end of it. So the morning of my ordination ceremony, we went to the temple, set up, and got ready for all of the guests to come that are going to participate in the ceremony and rejoice in me ordaining to become a monk. Once the guests come, they do this thing called glipom, which is pretty much cutting hair. Respected elders and friends would come and cut my hair and put it into a banana leaf and float it down a river or something like that. It's just a tradition, I guess. And so once all the people have cut my hair, a monk comes down and shaves the rest of my hair and my eyebrows. So why they do this, it's mainly so when you're a monk, you're supposed to get rid of all the things, you're supposed to let go of all the things that are considered glamour and excessive. It's also a symbol of renunciation of worldly desires. So why do you shave your hair and eyebrows? It's mainly to represent that you're giving up these worldly possessions, right? Like, you don't, back then in Buddha's time, you didn't need hair. They lived in India. It wasn't as cold as it is in America or in other parts of the world. So hair on your head, on your eyebrows wasn't always necessary. So it was just a symbol of renunciating the worldly desires. So once all my hair was shaved, all my eyebrows were shaved, I took a shower and put on these white robes and became a Naga. Yes, that kind of Naga, the water kind. But the white robes are supposed to represent purity. Once you shave your hair, shave your eyebrows, you're supposed to have been cleansed of all your sins, I guess you could say. And so once that's done, you change into your white clothing. There's another waiting period, I guess. I'm taking pictures with all the guests. That took quite a while. So during this open time, I was trying to eat whatever I could because I couldn't eat in the evening, and trying to remember the sutras that I needed for the ordination ceremony. There's a lot of pressure because it's kind of a big deal. A lot of people came to the ceremony. I wasn't the only one to be ordained that day. There was 19 men on that day that were ordaining to become monks. So me plus 18 other people were ordaining to become monks. So there was just a lot of people. I didn't want to be the one to mess it up. So I was just trying to remember it as the day went on. So once they call you in, you and the other monks sit down and go through the ordaining ceremony. Pretty much everything that I was preparing and practicing to say during the ordination, that's what I did. You go in, sit down, and renounce your worldly desires and ask to be taken as students and disciples of Buddha and the Sangha. About halfway through, you don the yellow robes, or you put on the yellow robes and go back in for the latter half of the ceremony. The yellow robes pretty much mean that you are now taking in the restrictions of a monk, and you have pledged yourself to learning and understanding the teachings of Buddha. So once you have become a full-fledged monk, you leave. So you leave, and all your guests give offerings to you as a new monk, and you accept them. After that, all your guests go home and you go back to your room. It was very tiring. They gave you a short lesson after that and what to do the next morning, and That was the ordination ceremony. What? So now that I was a monk, what do I do? Day-to-day life, what happens to me? So the first thing to note is that you must live by the 227 restrictions of the Vinaya. The Vinaya is the set of restrictions that Buddha had established for the monks in the Sangha to make it the highest possibility for you to reach enlightenment. There's a lot of things in there. Most of them are pretty simple, such as don't kill people, don't kill anything. You know, I don't know. Don't steal things. Pretty basic moral things that you shouldn't do, right? There's different levels as to how bad something is. So, for example, killing a human is much worse than killing, let's say, an ant, right? So there's different levels as to how severe the restriction is. So that's one thing. Other than that, day-to-day life was pretty routine, right? So I'm just gonna go down the list of things that I did on a daily basis, starting with waking up. So wake up at around 5:30, put on my robes, and that was something that took a lot of time to learn itself. It was pretty interesting to learn to do that because everyone in my camp that was ordaining to become a monk had to learn at the same time as me. So we were all trying to teach each other and help each other out how to tie the robes or wear the robes. So at 6:10 or so, we would go about and collect alms at the alms round. So what alms round entails is getting your metal bowl and going out to like the local market and collecting offerings from people that are Buddhist, right? So they would give food and we would eat that food. We would not keep that food past a day. So anything that was not eaten by noon, we'd have to give it away, right? So that's the lifestyle of food in terms of a Buddhist monk. You don't keep it, right? You're supposed to let it go if you don't use it. So go to alms round. So at 6:50 we get back to the temple. We separate the food, clean our alms bowl, and then go to morning meal. So at around 7 o'clock we eat, and around 7:30 or so, 7:30, 7:40, we go to the main temple or the main prayer. I don't really know how to pick the word for it in English, translate the word in English, but we go to where the Buddha image is and we do our morning chants and prayers and recollections. After that, I had a class at around 8:30 or so. 8:30 to around 11 o'clock, 11:30 or so, I had class, and they would teach about different things that Buddha taught. So morals, history, things like that. And for me, it was a little hard because Thai, I'm not super fluent in Thai, but I'm fluent enough where I can have a conversation with people. But this was more of a scholarly language that they would use sometimes, and it was much harder for me to understand. But at the same time, I did gain a lot of things from going to these classes, so that was nice. After class at around 11 o'clock, we'd go back to our camps and we'd have before noon meal. So once it turns noon, we can no longer eat. So right before noon, we eat one more time. And sometimes it's leftover food from the morning, and sometimes we have people come and give offerings of food for our before noon meal. So that was nice. After that, after we eat, we have a little bit of time, and then we have to go to our evening class. So evening class, I think, is around 1 to 4 or so, something like that. And again, it's just another class on, morals, history, the different ways to meditate, things like that. So that was so we have 2 3-hour classes a day. Sometimes the teacher would allow us to leave early, so sometimes it was like 2 hours. So that was nice. So after the evening class, we go back to our camp and we have some free time. But around 5 o'clock or so, we would get up and clean the camp. So there's like common areas that we would hang out in and talk and eat and I don't know, just ask questions. And those areas we would help clean every day. We'd also make sure we clean our rooms as well. So that's scheduled into the daily routine. And then after we clean, we have open time until the evening chants, which start at around 8 p.m. And similar to the morning chants and recollections, we're pretty much reminding ourselves about, you know, this is the way, etc. I don't want to get too far into it, but if you guys are interested in learning more about this, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. So after the evening chants, it's around 9 o'clock or so. At this point, it's free time until whenever you decide to go to sleep. So a lot of times after the evening chants and recollections, we go to the common area and we just talk. We just hang out, talk about either anything that we learned during the class, anything that we have doubts about. We just sit there, talk about life outside of the monastery, like before we became monks. And yeah, it was just, I created those bonds during these free open times of talking and learning about people's lives and stuff. And it was kind of refreshing to not be so attached to someone's phone, not having to constantly be up to date with social media and stuff, but just to read a book, ask questions, learn about people's lives. It was kind of like refreshing, like I mentioned earlier. So yeah, but that's pretty much the routine of a daily life of a monk inside the monastery. It's pretty basic, very routine. Just did this for 15 to 16 days. The last part of this video is going to be who I was when I was in my monkship. I mentioned earlier during the ordination section that I asked to become a part of the Sangha. The Sangha is the organization or group of monks that are all trying to live and learn the teachings of Buddha. So the Sangha is the group of monks living at the temple, right? So you could have multiple Sanghas, or you can have one large Sangha in Bangkok or in Thailand. It doesn't matter. It's just referring to the group of Buddhist monks practicing and learning Buddhist teachings, right? And although I was a monk, I was more of a student of sorts, learning, reading, meditating, and praying. All those things I was there trying to understand things, right? Trying to learn what Buddha was teaching, trying to understand why he taught the things that he did. It was a very eye-opening experience, and I think I am a better person because of it. But at the same time, I don't really want to I don't know unless I can practice the things that I learned. So hopefully I am a better person. But that's pretty much it for what I've been up to for the past month or so when I was in my monkship. Very eye-opening experience. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I am planning to put out a couple more videos, like maybe 1 or 2 more videos, one a Q&A for anyone that has any questions. So if you have any questions, again, make sure you leave them in the comment section down below. And one video kind of going over the ordination process again. There was a videographer recording the whole ordination process, so maybe I'll do like a commentary on what is going on during the ordination ceremony. So yeah, but other than that, I will be getting back to my regular videos soon. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure you put a thumbs up, click that thumbs up, and if you like the content that I put out on my channel, please make sure you subscribe. But that's pretty much it for today's video. Till next time, guys, this is Best and West. I'll catch you guys later.